Hey friends, happy Wednesday, the 31st of August. Where has the time gone? It is nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I'll give you a daily reflection on the readings. The readings are linked on the sidebar. I invite you to turn off the screen when you're done. Just have some quiet time with God before you move on to other things. Okay, we're working on the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians and the Gospel of Luke, just starting the Gospel of Luke. We're hearing in this first letter of Paul to the Corinthians, we're starting to understand the divisions that exist in this community. Apollos was a worker of the gospel, a missionary for Jesus, as was Paul. Apollos probably baptized many of these people. Paul, as we heard last week, was a preacher of the gospel. And so Paul is speaking about the divisions that exist in the community. A great opportunity for us to be people of unity and to be praying for unity in all of our communities, right? Our families, our churches, our towns, our communities. We're very well aware of the divisions that exist in our country, to be praying not just that my side wins, but instead for that spirit of unity to be with us. Not a terrible thing. I've shared with you before that I have a little bit of a permutation on this. Paul, about 3/4 of the way through, says, I planted, Apollos watered, but God caused the growth. And I've shared with you that when I was teaching 7th graders in Cheyenne early on in my priesthood confirmation, and that's a really gloriously hilarious but challenging age, I realized that I was not sowing seeds. Those had been sowed long before. I was not reaping the harvest. Those would be done very far in the future. I wasn't really watching the growth because it didn't seem like there was a lot of growth in 7th grade. I was just spreading the manure. That was a little bit of an image that helped me when I was feeling frustrated and it was all pointless and meaningless to just say, all right, I'm just God's manure spreader out here in the vineyard. I share that in case that might be helpful for you. At the beginning of this, Paul talks about how when he was among them, he gave them milk. Easy spiritual food, knowing that they would be brought to greater heights in the future when they were ready for it. And I hear myself in that, right? I hear all of us that we accept, we understand what we can, but we don't hold on to our faith that we had at age 8 or 13 or whatever. So we're a work in progress until we breathe our last breath. How is the Lord wanting to move you in your spiritual life today to a little bit more substantial food? Maybe pray with that image of St. Paul there. The other one is this exhortation of Paul at the very end, that you are a co-worker of God. Right? And you are the field of God and you are God's building. God is building you up. What does it look like for you to be a co-worker with God today? Notice that this isn't boss-subordinate language. This is co-worker. That we all have responsibility and call, that each of us has a part to play. Another image that I've shared is a symphony, right? Or a great choral piece. Everybody has a different tone, a different part, a different word. The whole loses its integrity if we say, I'm just a small part, it doesn't matter. How are you a co-worker with God today? Okay. The Gospel of Luke. I do have a smart aleck take on this as well. I imagine that Jesus, this is facetious, but I imagine Jesus rolls into the house of Simon Peter. He's like, boy, I am hungry. And they're like, yeah, well, normally Peter's mother-in-law would serve us, but she's in bed with a fever. And then Jesus is like, oh, that's it? Sweet, I can handle that. Of course, obviously, over and over, Jesus brings healing and freedom and liberation and all that stuff. So I am not ascribing those sorts of motives. That would be if Bill was, the Messiah and had those sorts of powers. One place to pray would be the hospitality shown by this mother-in-law, right? She immediately gets up and she extends hospitality to these guests. And that's not women's work. Hospitality is a biblical virtue that everybody shared. And we have multiple stories of men exercising hospitality, most famous of which is Abraham, and exhortations from Paul and others to be people of hospitality. How are we extending care to the stranger, to the immigrant, to the marginalized today? This fits in with that understanding of like almsgiving, taking care of the poor, taking care of creation. How are we extending care to others today? Second thing to maybe pray into. Notice at the end of this, Jesus says no. Right? Oh, we want you to come back so that we can continue to marvel in your word and your signs, and we love having you here. No. No. There are other places that I have to go and other things that I need to do. Where might the Lord be calling us to say no today? And also maybe what's our mission? What's the Lord wanting to do in us with the time that we have been given this day? Might be a useful place to pray as well. All right. Happy Wednesday, friends. Last day of August. Many blessings to you. Read those readings prayerfully. Turn off your screen. Spend time with God. God bless you.